This is my quick take on the House of Galion. Formed in 1930 or thereabouts, originally founded by a guy named Prince Murat, and then it was flipped over to Paul Vasher. Yes, the Paul Vasher, the same perfumer who would be responsible for creating Miss Dior in 47. Uh, Galion kind of became Paul Vasher's own personal creative vehicle in the same way that Maison Princess Kurkdjian is sort of Francis Kurkdjian's own personal creative vehicle. Uh, the difference is that Galion was sort of more priced in that Chanel Dior realm when it existed. We didn't really have niche perfumes in the same way that we do now back then. And their biggest claim to fame was the fragrance Sortilege, which I have a little mini bottle of that here I can show you. The original one with the cool logo that they used to use. They don't use this logo anymore. Waiting for the camera to zoom in, and yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it there. It's, yeah, Sortilege. Now, unfortunately, one big famous fragrance really isn't enough to carry a house through. And there were a few others too. Okay, I'm not trying to say that Galion only had Sortilege, but that was their number five, their arpege, their joy, basically. And well, they ran into hard times in the 70s. And just like a Parfums d'Orsay, they kind of crumbled under the weight of flagging sales and debt piling up. And Paul Vasher himself would retire and then pass away, leaving a couple of fragrances actually unfinished, which is funny because then once Le Galion was restarted by independent, people, just the usual zombie house brought back to life, and the modern day Le Galion has resurrected several of the classics, including Sortilege and things like For Gentlemen and a couple others. They've also made new fragrances, some which are sort of new in a classical style, and others which are supposedly these unfinished older fragrances that have been finished by modern perfumers. Either case, like I said, this is sort of like a house that really appeals more to classic tastes, vintage collector's bait, if you will. It's like the kind of person that is like has nowhere left to go after all of their discontinued designers have become too hard to purchase. Someone that's in that train of thought. They want to move into a niche house that kind of carries on, then Le Galion would be probably the place to go, since they don't really make anything that you could call really modern strictly in that sense. Good stuff, though, a bit on the pricey side, but that's what I think about it.